Welcome and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are joining us today. I am Marina, Maljurić, Program Director of MEKST Conference, and I have that honor to speak with our great panelists today. This is an interactive webinar, so I invite you to ask questions or simply to write some of your observations or to share some of your experiences with us. I would like to invite you to specify is some question for all panelists or for some specific. This is the first MEKST panel. We will have it more in the following period in the field of tourism, hotel and MICE industry. We just posted the questionnaire in which you can vote which topic you would like to see next week, so you can vote or you can write as your suggestion what topic you would like to be covered in the following period. It is my incredible pleasure to present you today's panelists. To present them in one sentence is too hard. I can talk about them till the end of the webinar, but I will try to make it shorter. Linda Pereira, owner, CPL Events. Rob Davidson, Managing Director, MICE Knowledge. Srđan Vukčević, Executive Coach, Hogan Assessments Professional, Mindfulness Teacher. Welcome. The first thing I would like to ask you is what are the first challenges you are faced during the COVID-19 pandemic and in which ways you are adjusted to the current situation?
So who would you like to go first?
Can you, Linda, start with this question?
Okay. Well, I think we're all facing the same challenges. It wasn't in March, that's a fallacy. From February onwards, we started to see cancellations, very tentatively at first, of course. And then from March 10, 0, everything canceled. We implemented a crisis management technique team in the company, and we started calling clients and we started applying the concept don't cancel, postpone, don't cancel, postpone. And then the new problem started where everybody started postponing. So there were no venues, there were no available dates. When you started postponing, you couldn't find a venue, you couldn't find a date. Then it became like playing chess, all the venues trying to find and fit in as much business as they could, everyone trying to adapt dates. So it has been quite chaotic. Then from the end of March onwards, you started seeing the hotels closing down, layoffs, a minimum team on site, which means you cannot get answers, you cannot get responses, you can't plan ahead, you can't do anything because there's nobody there to answer you or to organize. So the chaos is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Since Easter, the week after Easter, some hotels are beginning to answer, but not that many. And most of them are in crisis mode. Staff are not on site, of course, they're in layoff, and they're focused on their summer season, which they're losing. So they're not focused on us, the after summer, you know, they're not really thinking about us. We're in the middle of the problem. And so with the associations and with the business confederations, we stopped thinking about our own core business and started thinking about everybody's business. And we started focusing on solutions, how we're going to come out and what we're going to produce afterwards. Because we found that if we were only focusing on the problem, we were not focusing on how we would survive this. We don't know if we're going to survive this as companies, even my own company. We don't know. But it is literally one day at a time. And it must be one day at a time focused on solutions and not focused on the problem. Because I think we're all sharing the same problem. Let's all be creative about the solutions. Rob, over to you.
Okay, well, thank you for the invitation to participate in this webinar. Those people who know me understand that I have two main activities. One is traveling internationally to speak at conferences, about conferences. And the other activity I have is education and research, teaching mice management in European universities. Now, of course, my life has been turned upside down this year. First indication was around February when an event I was supposed to be speaking at in Singapore was postponed. Well, postponed until 2021. In other words, cancelled. That was when the virus problem was really focused mainly in the Far East. And then life continued as normal. The last kind of face-to-face event I spoke at was in Zagreb in March. That was MEKST, very successful. The organizers made a decision to go ahead through solidarity with the industry. They wanted to send a signal that face-to-face meetings were continuing as long as possible. Then, as Linda knows, I flew from Zagreb to Lisbon to speak at another event, which sadly was a casualty and was stopped. So this year has been a pattern of that. Events I was supposed to be going to being postponed. If everything goes ahead as planned, my goodness, November, December are going to be crazy months if everything is going to run as planned. The other activity I mentioned is teaching, and that has been moved online. It's the universities where I'm teaching adapted very quickly to putting their classes online. Things like supervising students' thesis has been online for quite some time. So my classes beginning next month in an Austrian university will be entirely like this. I'll be in front of my computer teaching 6 hours a day. I'm not looking forward to it in the least because there won't be any rapport with the students, but it's a solution of a kind, and that's why we need to support it. Personally, I've been participating in many webinars because I want to hear what people in the business are doing, and that's where you hear the real face-to-face, the real daily problems that people are facing.
Yeah. And Srđane, what is your challenges in this period?
So when it comes to my business, I come from coaching, education, training, and consulting business. It was the best year ever we had, the start of the year, and then we worked up until the middle of March, probably. It was like 13th of March, and then suddenly it dropped like from the cliff. It was very difficult for others also, so we are kind of in all of this together. When it comes to coaching business, it moved to online. So all of my clients basically are now on Zoom working with us. When it comes to training, all of them that we had were cancelled and postponed. So we see the light maybe in the next period to move also as a mix of online and offline with some precautions and caring about participants and our own health. So we'll see how will it go in the future.
Yeah, we saw that meetings industry is already facing different consequences. When do you predict to see the first signs of recovery? Can we expect people to visit events in the same manner and get back to face-to-face meetings? Rob, can you start maybe, or Linda?
No, Rob.
Okay, well, thank you. This is the big question every day on our news programs. The big question is when? When will this be over? When will things begin to get back to normal? When will the wheels of industry start turning again? Because industry in this country, like most countries, has stopped. Businesses closed, very few shops open. So the big question is when. I think not soon. I think that, you know, this is a long-term thing. A lot will depend on confidence, the confidence levels. Two types of confidence. First of all, people's consumer confidence, and that's simply a question of saying, do I have the money to go to an international conference, to travel, to pay for registration, to stay in a hotel? Am I willing to invest 500 or 1,000 euros in that kind of product? Well, a lot of that's going to depend on the state of our economies when things start turning again. How confident do individuals feel about their money, their income? Also, naturally, and before income, how confident do they feel about health? How confident do they feel that if they travel even to another part of their own country, that their health will not be at risk? So confidence levels are really important here. The other type of confidence being business confidence. Companies, how do they feel about investing again in face-to-face meetings, training sessions, sending managers to conferences in other parts of the world? Do they feel rich enough and secure enough in their finances to start doing that again? I'm nervous about that, because I think at the moment confidence is at the rock bottom level, and we're going to need to build that up again very gradually. When companies feel secure, when individuals feel secure in their employment, in their health, then we'll start to see the beginnings of a recovery. In the meantime, we've all mentioned virtual meetings and events like this. I think it's true to say that many companies who are now using virtual meetings for their internal meetings, they will realize actually there are some benefits, and they may never go back to small face-to-face meetings lasting a couple of hours. I think we need to be honest and realize that, having discovered the advantages of this kind of virtual meeting, some companies, for some kinds of meetings, small meetings, short meetings, meetings where everybody already knows each other and there's no need for network and getting to know you, I think that some of those meetings, they may never come back. But I don't want to dwell on that, because we're in the meetings industry. It's our responsibility as an industry to demonstrate the advantages of coming to face-to-face meetings. This has never been more important. It will be important in the future.
Okay. I have a similar opinion to Rob, but I differ slightly. I agree with Rob. The problem is the fear factor. At the moment, people are terrified. We are literally being brainwashed 24 hours a day to be afraid. And we are still in the midst of one, and we are already watching on Sky and on all televisions talking about the new wave, the second wave. So we're not out of the fear factor of this one, and people are already saying, and some scientists are already talking about the second wave in October. So I think it'll be like having a pet. You're going to open the door, but everybody's going to be afraid to come out of the door. It's this fear factor. I watch my neighbors. I come to my door. We've been at home for a month. We haven't got the bug. We know that, but they won't come near me. And we're on the same floor of the building. So it is the fear factor. Then, of course, it's the tremendous economic crisis that we cannot ignore it. It's there, it's going to happen. We're talking about mass unemployment, and we have to be ready for that. I don't want to be a naysayer, but we have to be ready for that. Most people around Europe are already on 2/3 of their income with layoffs, so they're losing 1/3 of their income. Let's be honest, we have to consider that. And companies have stalled everything. They've stalled everything they do, sponsorship and everything. So yes, Rob, you are right. I think that for corporate business, we're going to see these online meetings. We're going to start tentatively seeing at the end of the year, perhaps, a mixture with hybrid meetings where you have a few people in a room and then you have everyone else from around the world joining via webcasting or via another system. My university is already preparing for that, in that we have some people in the room, but then we're joining international events via online and via web. What I truly don't believe, and I've spoken to almost everyone around the world, and in general, if you're practical and you look at the facts, that we will be back to business until 2021. And until there is a vaccine, or at least a declared treatment that works, we will not be back. Okay, let's be honest. So what companies have to do is start applying methodologies that would allow them to have smaller meetings or have multi-city meetings, hybrid meetings, where in one city people will sit, 50 people will be one room joining 50 people in Novi Sad, joining 50 people in London, 50 people in Edinburgh, whatever. But we are going to work a lot with hybrid meetings, undoubtedly. I have a full from mid-October onwards, and I have meetings into way into the middle of December, which is not normal, okay, because of the deadlines. But they're all meetings that know that they can probably go ahead, 200, maximum 300, in a venue for 1,000, spaced out. These meetings will go ahead, perhaps. But coming back to work, we're going to start when we have a vaccine. We don't know when that is, but until there's a vaccine, we're not coming back. And this is where communication is really, really, really important. And companies and our industry sometimes ignores communication and networking. And this is where networking and communication is crucial. We have to be sharing knowledge, experience, and what we are going through constantly, so that we learn from each other. The more we learn, the sooner we'll come back effectively and efficiently.
So I will agree with both of you, Rob and Linda, with the points you mentioned. It's about confidence, of course, for the participants, for their health. And when it comes to confidence also, I will connect to what Linda said also. It's very important to trust into science now and to listen to them. And we can help them by just, being prudent and careful also, and waiting not to be too fast in reacting, opening something that's not maybe time to be opened. So helping them to help us, that's my philosophy. Just yes. we can wait a little bit and see, and if that vaccine is very fast or some kind of medicine that can help people overcome the disease when they have encountered it, so it will be very helpful. If that happens soon, I believe that everything else will be very fast to recover, because people are longing for connection, and this is something that's in our psychology. It's in our nature to be connected to others. So let's see how the science will react to all of this, and I believe that the smartest heads in the world are working around the clock to help all industries, not just yours or mine or anyone else's. It's about all people from all of the world. So let's be patient and see how will this be fruitful for all of us if we help them, just not doing something very stupid and create a second wave of the disease or something like that.
Yeah, you mentioned that expectation and priorities of participants or tourists would change, shifting the safety as the most important factor on the first place. How this would affect the event organizers? What should be changed in the approach to organizing in events? Also, what organizers should do in order to assure the feeling of safety of the participants and encourage them to participate?
Can I take this one?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So we've already been working on that since the beginning of April, because when I said that we started focusing on solutions, in fact, this is what we thought. How can we inspire confidence? Because it's like Rob said, it's about confidence and it's about trust. The first thing that that has been done here, I'll summarize because there's a lot of regulations, but at the moment, for example, our tourism board has created a seal, a beautiful seal, which says clean and safe. And that seal is awarded. You have to apply for it. You have to be tested, you have to be trained, you have to know what you have to do, demonstrate that you have the knowledge and that you can do it. And then you are awarded this seal, and then you have to reapply for it continuously to make sure that you are always up to date on the newest needs and newest scientific knowledge. Those seals will be very important for venues and for companies, but also for events and for hotels in general, also for events. That's one, I think, one system. It's like having a green seal, or it's a system that will encourage people to trust a venue. And if a client approaches you, you can also give them the criteria that this seal requires, what you actually have to do to get this seal, so that they understand what it means. Other things we are doing is we have regulations in place already, not only about the number of events that the number of people that we can have in one space at one time, but also how the layout of the room has to be restructured. All venues will have to restructure this. They will have, as I was saying before, that you have to have a separation of 2 rows between each, so you can sit 1 row, then 2 empty rows, then the next row, 2 empty rows, next row. Then even on the row, you have to have 2 chairs between each person, so that you have 2 chairs that way and 2 chairs sideways. Okay, so you're isolated with the right distancing, with the right social distancing from the person next to you, which will mean, of course, that venues will be taking in perhaps 1/3 of the people they would normally sit. On stage, you take the same care with the speakers. You have protective screens that you see now in shops and in businesses between you and the audience. However, there are lots more regulations applied to catering. You should not be able to have buffet lines now. You can't have a buffet. You have to have a completely different way of structuring the catering. It'll probably be seated catering now, because you have to have spacing between people, etc. Everyone will have to be equipped accordingly. The gloves, the masks, etc. The seals, as I say, everything has to be approved. The kind of food that we can serve will have to be different for a little while. You shouldn't be serving perhaps raw foods. You should be serving cooked foods at this time. You should all be having what we call the pack that will contain your disinfectant, your masks, and your gloves for your delegates. You can sponsor these, your company can have them. It'll be really, really useful, because normally what I'm thinking is, you know, if you have 3-day conference, you have 3 masks. If you have a 5-day conference, you have 5 masks in the pack. You prepare people. All of this not only keeps your delegates safe, it starts to build up confidence as people see how you work and how you're doing it, how you transport them on the buses, how they use public transport, because here we already have in place the regulations for the public transport, how they enter the venue, disinfectant everywhere, at the entrance of every room, at registration, at the door. Yes, it's overkill. Yes, you're overdoing it. But better to overkill than to actually, which is a bad choice of words, better to overdo it than to actually step back and just feel safe. We're already, I think that we're going to have, we as the meeting industry have to prove that we know what we are doing. We have to prove that we take duty of care very seriously, and that we really care about our participants and our speakers. We have to prove it. And as we keep proving it, and as we keep talking about it and demonstrating it, I think that confidence will be regained day after day.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Linda. I think that confidence will be the most important fact for all participants. So, Rob, would you like to continue?
Well, yes, I have to be honest and say I don't have a lot to add to Linda's very extensive list of practical measures. We're certainly seeing what we call de-densification already in, for example, the proposal from EasyJet to not use the middle seats in their aircraft, just to keep the density of passengers down. And the measures Linda mentioned about venues is something very similar to that. It's congratulations to Portugal, because again, you're ahead of anything I've heard about in this country. I think it's all going to be about meeting planners and their choice of suppliers. For everything Linda said, from catering to transport to the venue, the safety, the assurance they can offer is going to be the first consideration, way before price and the other things that we normally think about. I think in the long term, and this is my fervent hope, in the long term, we will come back and conferences will be the same. They'll be recognizable. There'll be handshakes and hugs and people exchanging business cards and buffet dinners and excursions and all the lovely, lovely things that we enjoy about conferences. I want that to come back, and it will in the longer term. In the medium and short term, we're going to get used to these measures, stopping people shaking hands so much, social distancing as people line up for registrations. But also, I'd just like to add one thing about safety and health. I think that one thing this crisis has shown us is that the only beneficiary in the whole crazy thing has been the environment. And people are enjoying the clear skies, the fresh air. London is transformed. It's a joy to go cycling because it's healthy air. There are very few planes in the sky. And I think that, again, looking forward, meeting planners will think a lot about the kind of transport, for example, that they propose for participants. I predict more rail travel. And for example, I went to the fantastic event Vestem in Belgrade last year. There was a speaker there from Germany. And this guy, he's amazing. He's so opposed to flying. He took, I don't know how many trains to get from Berlin to Belgrade, but he was proud of himself. I think we'll see a lot more of that kind of thing for the environment as well as for our personal health.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you two said. It's prudent behavior. It's normal to behave that way and prepare everything in advance. So I believe, and what I can get for what you two also talked is, it will be more accent on quality in everything that we do. So I'm not from your industry in a way, I am, but not totally what you do. But I believe that the quality providers, the best providers, will be much more appreciated than the ones that are just doing something half measured. So it's very important to also, for all people who are doing the distribution and are part of your business, to think about quality, to think about processes, to think about safety, to think about their employees, people, to be satisfied, to be engaged. So from this point of view, from HR also is very important to have that.
Yeah, definitely. Many events are forced by the current situation to be held online. Also, we have the opportunity to attend a lot of great webinars where we can gain a lot of knowledge. But however, it seems that something is still missing. In the last few weeks, I attend a lot of webinars where was mentioned how to transfer the networking part to the online events. In practice, the participants asked questions even more than at events face-to-face, but I think that we still, as a human being, have that need to be together in person, to shake hands, to drink coffee together. So is this need strong enough to bring us back to face-to-face meetings when conditions are met, or we would select the events according to necessities and attend them with precaution? So Jenny, would you like to start?
Yeah. So evolutionary, we are mammals. We need to connect with others. So I believe this will be, yeah, very much possible in the near future. I think we can't live without other people. This is not possible. First of all, maybe as Rob said, it may not happen in the midterm or immediately, but it will be local. You know, you will find your friends and you will hug them probably very strongly after this. So it will then spread, not to say like a virus, but it will come back to the normal, because we can't live without other people. All of our neurobiology and physiology is regulated by the contact of the others. So now we are using our families to do that, and my children are now saying, stop hugging me that much, you know, just like, because we are missing that in this time, you know, and we are still waiting to go outside and find some human touch, some other people, grow from that their perspectives, also drink a coffee. And I believe this is going to be normal and normalized, also in dependence to what we talked earlier. If the vaccine is ready and we see that the cases of COVID-19 they are going down, we will see the hugs and kisses and coffees very soon, I believe.
Anyone who knows Rob will know that that Rob is probably the biggest hugger in the world, and so and if you see the MEKST photos from last year, you will see that the champion huggers were me and Rob, and that every other photo is a photo of me and Rob hugging someone, okay, when we were not hugging each other. Yes, I totally agree. I think that we have an innate desire to connect with people. I do not believe that online substitutes face-to-face and live communication. I do not believe that networking online is as successful. I do not believe it, because my life is proof of that. I believe that to sign deals, between businesses, between people, for science to develop, for science to accelerate, people have to be sitting together and talking to each other and looking each other in the eyes. So yes, I agree that we will have a lot more online small conferences, we will have a lot more hybrid conferences, but I believe that low tech will be back really, really soon. And I truly believe that in low tech life, I really, really believe it. I'm not saying it because I'm in the industry. I don't believe that we advance as fast or as much when we are talking to each other through a screen. I believe that we are on a different kind of behavior. This is not me. I'm not this very sort of quiet, very sort of stoic person. No, I'm a very noisy, communicative, hugging, loving, kissing person. I don't feel comfortable in this environment. And I want to go back to my environment. I haven't kissed or hugged anybody for 2 months. I'm desperate, Rob. I'm desperate. So I really believe that networking is something you do when you touch, when you connect, when you see, when you look. So I think low tech is not over. Low tech businesses are not over. Don't go mad. Don't exaggerate. Humanity is not like that. We will have a greater integration of the two. But I truly believe that as soon as we know that we are safe and that we are able to come back, we'll be back to normal. I truly believe this.
Well, the last person on this planet that I hugged, apart from my own partner, is Linda Pereira in
Yes.
Portugal, before this whole crazy thing started. When we said goodbye last month, Linda,
Yes.
that was fantastic. The following day, the world had changed completely. I was in Lisbon, and I asked a stranger to take a photograph of me and my friend. And she was very polite, but she said, "I'm sorry, I'd rather not." And that meant she didn't want to touch my phone, to touch my hand. That was the day the world changed for me. Big hug one day, next day, don't come near me. But I agree with both of you. This is so fundamental to human beings' existence. You know, we, as a race, we developed because we speak to each other, we learn from each other. And let's never forget that one of the huge pleasures and advantages of going to conferences are the surprises, the unexpected. The guy you sit beside at the bar in the evening in the hotel, and you discover that you're both interested in the same research project. You work together after that. Those surprises, the person you're standing beside in the queue for the buffet, and you get speaking to them and get to know them. Those are fantastic advantages of face-to-face conferences. Almost, I would say, impossible to replicate on a virtual basis like this. I mean, there's no networking happening this hour. We're learning from each other, but no one's making new contacts. Those surprises are really, really important. And again, as I said earlier, we need to, as an industry, we need to emphasize this advantage. We need to remind people there are things you will get by coming to a face-to-face conference that you won't get by sitting in front of your laptop at your home or in your office. Absolutely. And also something to remember is the human motivation for pleasure and fun. We love going to conferences. They're fun, they're exciting. The social program, the excursions, the gala dinners, you know, these are not unimportant elements of a conference. And again, you get none of that by sitting in front of your laptop. We're all in the industry. We understand that. It's in our DNA, but we just need to constantly remind companies, remind individuals, remember why you used to go to conferences. Well, please come back, because all those elements are now back online, back available. So yeah, definitely no substitute.
No.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Rob, and with all of you, because we can gain a lot of new knowledge online, but I think that it's really important social part of every event, and to see each other every year or a few times during the year in different places at different events. So I really hope that we will come back soon. And my last question, but after that I will ask you some questions from our audience. I saw that we have a few of them. My last question is, what recovery trend of MICE industry is expected? Are there some innovations waiting for us, or our future is directed towards online events?
Can I begin by picking up something from Srđan that he said about, you know, hugging people locally? I think that's correct. I think that we're going to see recovery for sure, of course, but it's going to begin small, locally, local meetings, national meetings, regional meetings, and then finally international meetings. I think we'll see the meetings industry spread out, starting locally, then national meetings, and then going broader. Of course, international associations always meet internationally, as it were, but I'm thinking about corporate events. I think they'll begin again by using perhaps a local hotel as the venue, local restaurants, and then we'll become more confident, and then national meetings will happen. And don't forget, depending on the state of the national economies when we come through this, there may be some pressure from governments to say, come on guys, keep your meetings in this country, we need the revenue, our hospitality industry needs your money. So I think we'll see it spreading out from national to international. On the international level, I think there's a strong possibility that countries who seem to have dealt efficiently with the virus, and I'm thinking about countries like Germany, South Korea, seem to have really kept it under control. And Portugal, yes. Those countries may have a competitive advantage over other countries which have struggled to contain the virus so much. This is pure speculation from me. I have no evidence, but it's just a feeling that I have, that some countries will be more attractive than others. Those countries who've done well, the other question is, will they want us? Will they want international participants arriving in their thousands from all over the world if they've already kept their own countries under control? When international air travel is safe, again, I think that's going to be a huge advantage. And I think that will really be what we're waiting for before we can truly say that we have an international meetings industry recovery.
We've seen a lot of great things result from this pandemic. First, it has given us it has reinforced the notion that none of us can survive without all the others. It has reinforced the need for nations to support each other. It has reinforced the role of science. If anything comes out of this, is how important science is and how much it has been ignored by governments for a long, long time. And maybe now, for a little while at least, we'll realize how important science is. For scientists, it has reinforced the need for them to connect to each other. And that is good for our industry as well. Scientists who have realized that if scientist A is isolated in his little corner and scientist B is isolated in his little corner and the other one, they're not working together. When they work together, we develop vaccines, knowledge advances. It is good for our industry. It has opened up minds. It has also accelerated learning. How many teachers have been forced within 24 hours to learn how to teach online? Teachers who were not really computer savvy or tech savvy, suddenly they've had to have a crash course in teaching their students, in being creative, in educating. How many? It's absolutely brilliant to see teachers who'd never even thought of integrating a computer into their lessons suddenly are revealing themselves as great teachers online. This is very important. How many meeting planners who were still doing meetings like in 1929 have suddenly realized that it's not about just contracting the person who knows. They also have to know and have to be involved and have to be part of the tech world to learn to integrate it. We will be more aware of all possibilities now. We have all become more creative. We have all of us, without a doubt, have become more knowledgeable in how to use these systems. I had used conferencing systems for a long time, but I'm learning all these new ones. I'm now able to research and see which one I can go shopping and see which ones have the features that I like. Our provider in Portugal, an excellent company called Event Services, they are now looking at creating new things. They're asking us, the PCOs, what would you need? What would you add to this? How could we interact? And this is brilliant. It's been brilliant for everybody. A learning curve which is exponential, which would have taken 4 or 5 years in any other situation. I'm proud of that. We've also seen the negative side. We've seen countries that have become more isolated, inwards, closed borders, treated everybody like, you know, they're kind of walking bugs, etc. The conversation has been nationalist and slightly to the dangerous side. Those are the ones that we have to make sure that we bring back into the fold, okay? Because we all need each other more. That's the first learning thing. the next one is that we're all much more savvy. We've had crash courses in education, in learning, in webinars. So I think a lot of good things have come out of this. It depends on how we apply them now. We've learned a lot. The world has changed a lot. Let's apply it intelligently and smartly.
Yeah, I can agree to both of you. I believe that's, as Rob said, and I mentioned that previously also, it will become more local first. You know, just you will hug your friends first. You know, just you will try to gather in groups and safely move forward. And when you see that other groups are also safe, then you will join them. And I believe that's becoming then international. I want to mention one thing also very important when it comes to innovation. It's very important to have this leadership mindset. And I believe Linda spoke about it at the beginning, you know, just having the initiative, having the ambition to create things and take charge. So for that also, we need a person, we know that from Hogan Research, who is dealing best in a crisis in terms of personality. People who are affiliative are very good in crisis because they are searching for context, initiating communication, asking for new solutions, new networks. Let's do it this way. Let's do it with these people. Let's ask them. It's more about loyalty, creating loyalty with others, even online. And what's most important also to mention, there are people who are low on security in terms of motivation. So they are dealing very good with ambiguity. Now it's very important to, if you are fixed in having a fixed mindset, then you are too scared, you are not moving forward. Even though it's a crisis, it's a virus, you should move forward in a way, step by step, you should move forward. And the most dangerous thing on your dark side is moving away tendencies. So being reserved, being cautious, too cautious, and being excitable or volatile in your emotional expressions. These are dangerous things to happen right now. So staying calm, staying composed, having initiative, having ideas, innovations, it's part of the leadership personality in a crisis. So this is my view on an individual level, what each and every one of us can really nurture in themselves and try to put that first on web, and then in a local group, and then in a national group, and then internationally. And we will come back to life soon than we think.
Well, thank you. Rob, you would like to add something? Or?
No, that's
okay.
That's all from me for that.
Okay, thank you so much for your opinions. We learned something new, definitely. We have a lot of questions from the audience. So according to the time we have at our disposal, we will try to give the most answers we can. So Nemanja send you regards to all of you and ask, do you have some suggestions for MEKST conference, how to have a lot of attendees, but still be really safety for participants?
So who wants
you
to
want, or Linda?
I've already mentioned the suggestions that I would put in place. I think it depends on your choice of venue. The choice of venue is going to be very important, and the trust that they inspire in you. It's about taking precautions and creating confidence. I've already given you some examples of how we can adapt to having more people in the room. There will probably not be as many hugs this year as in years before. People will have to change their behavior and the way that they interact with each other, but life is still good, okay? I have you on my radar. I'm expecting to go. So, but it's like I say, it's about social distancing. We have to maintain it, whether we like it or not, whether it pleases or not. We have to maintain our social distancing. It's about also the hotel partners you choose that will also maintain the same level of requirements. It's about the way you sit people. You have I remember the venue last year, and you have space to be able to kind of spread people out. Perhaps you won't be able to have 1,000 people. Perhaps you'll have to limit to 700 or 650. It's about taking all those precautions I said, and it's about making sure that you don't place the responsibility for safety on the participant, that you place it on yourselves. If you place that and you keep promoting it and saying, this is what we are doing, this is how we are going to do it. In fact, we're having the World Association Congress is going to be in my town in December. We were worried at first if we were going to have the same level of participation. And so what we're saying is we're going to take every precaution. We're going to take care. We keep repeating it, because you have to repeat it and you have to do it. You have to promise. In fact, you have to promise less and do a lot more. Okay, you have to be able, if you can apply those techniques that project hygiene and that defend the participants, and they believe that you are defending them, I shouldn't see a problem in people beginning to participate. It's at the end of November. I think that people might begin to participate, and it's almost a local conference because it's a regional conference. So I think that yeah, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Thank you for these advices, really useful. And I hope that Nemanja is satisfied with the answer. And we have one question for Rob. Rob predicted the trend of webinars a couple of years ago in Serbia at MEKST conference. The current situation is a true representation of the necessary adoption of the companies of both hotels and others. Do you remember that when you predicted the situation?
I do. I remember it very well, because we were looking to the future and the future of MEKST. And well, I've got MEKST 2020 in my diary, and I'm really hoping that it goes ahead this year. Although I'm trying to imagine the evening parties on the river with social distancing, and I just cannot cannot see that. No. Webinar, yeah, of course they were already growing in importance, and the technology it has been improving for many years. I remember the very early days of video conferencing, which was terrible. The sound and the vision were not matching each other. People were cut off for no reason. It was dreadful. Now the technology, as we can see from this experience, is excellent. And I think that already it was growing in importance, and this has given technology a huge boost, as happened just after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, when it was unsafe to travel. The winners of that were really the video conferencing companies, and now who wouldn't like to own some shares in Zoom? They must be very valuable commodities. So yeah, it was on the cards that video webinars would be important. And just I'd like to go back to something Linda said about knowledge and scientific knowledge. There's so much knowledge being generated so quickly in the modern world that we're seeing a growing need to share that knowledge, and more often than once a year. You know, once a year for the annual association conference, great, but the generation of new knowledge is intensifying, and webinars are playing a useful part in sharing that knowledge in certain communities.
Yeah. Okay, we have one question for Linda. This is greetings from Portugal. So this person asked, this is Mr. Cardozo. I hope that I pronounce good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have heard something that convention bureaus are not working on its full potential. Do you think that these institutions will play a important part in the promotion of the destinations? What strategies could they use?
Yeah, I think some convention bureaus went into panic mode, and there are no meetings, we're going home, and we're going to wait till all this pass. Yes, I do think, but I think that we should look at some that have been really, really great examples. I keep seeing 2 or 3 convention bureaus that have taken the leadership role, in more even than the association, have stepped up and gone beyond their membership or beyond their remit, and have actually gone to the whole industry and brought them together and talked about how can we continue to promote our destination as safe, as accessible, etc. There have even been some amazingly beautiful videos about, and I must talk about Portugal. It was one of the first where we launched the video saying, after you are safe and well, we are still here. It was absolutely amazing, because all it talked about was taking care of yourselves, giving people advice on medicine, giving people advice on, and then in the meantime, it was showing you all the landscapes and the places that would still be waiting for you afterwards. Now it's about taking care of people. Yes, it's true, but we must keep putting our destinations on the front line. We must keep talking about our destinations, because you're not just defending the destination, you're defending every business, every professional, every working person in the destination, because we're talking about our industry, but our industry needs taxis and restaurants and shops. We don't just need meeting planners. So it's about destinations stepping forward and not going into hibernation themselves. They must continue to communicate and communicate. That's why I said communication is probably our greatest and strongest tool at this moment. They must continue to communicate. The ones, London is doing really well as well. The ones, and I'm getting emails from, and it's not because Rob is here, but I'm getting emails from Edinburgh. I'm getting emails from Glasgow. I'm getting all of this, but there are a lot of convention bureaus, and here I will not name, but there are a lot that have gone into silence and that have gone into crisis mode. And this is not the moment for panic, and this is not the moment for silence. This is the moment for trumpeting your value.
Definitely. Thank you, Linda, for your answer. There is one really interesting question for Srđan, and I am really interested to hear your opinion. How can we overcome our own fears and the fears of our colleagues and employees if we know that we will have to change significantly the way we think and work after pandemic?
Thank you for the question. It's very important first to have the exact assessment of the threat. So it means if you go to be too much stable, it means that you are not assessing the threat very rightly. But also you can go on the different part and to become too anxious and too worried about what will happen and what's happening right now. So having that kind of balance between what's really going on, having the real assessment of what's going on, and moving forward with the people and communicating with them even virtually will help you overcome your anxiety. So please don't stay with yourself. It's not your thing to deal with it alone. So things like this, attending conferences online, attending webinars, reaching out to your family members, reaching out to your friends, organizing something with them virtually, even seeing them in 10 meters distance or 3 meter distance is fine, and okay, you can go out in a way. So it's very important to take care about your own mental health in these situations. So saying that, you are also becoming a role model for them. So the way you do things is actually replicated to others. So it doesn't mean you don't need or have to stay safe. Stay safe and please communicate, reach out to people, contact them. Don't wait for them to contact you. You are not in here alone, so please do so.
Thank you, Srđan. Also, I would like, since maybe some of our audience know that Rob and Linda will be speakers at next MEKST conference this year, the last weekend in November. I would like to use this opportunity to invite Srđan to join us at MEKST conference this year as a speaker.
Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, I hope that you will accept that. I will send you the dates definitely after the webinar.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. I will gladly accept it just to check the dates and everything, and I'm there with you.
Thank you so much. And we have a lot of questions, but we don't have enough time to answer all of these. And I'm really sorry to all participants who we couldn't answer in this moment. But as I mentioned, we will have more webinars in the following period. Thank you so much for your predictions.
Marina, just a second. For the people who are there for your webinars, let's launch a poll that you wanted to have. So now they can vote and you can see what kind of topic they would like to see.
This is the questionnaire that I mentioned at the beginning of our webinar. So please vote to choose the topic for the next webinar. Okay. And thank you so much for your predictions and opinions that you shared today with us. I think that communication is so important, and to talk about the current situation in which we are all together globally, and to share our knowledge and experiences among each other to get in this, in order to get out from this situation better. I am really thankful to technology that gives us opportunity to be together even in these strange circumstances, but I hope that we can't wait to be together in person, and that gives me the hope that we will come back, maybe in different ways with some new measures and habits, but we will definitely be back. Dear Linda, dear Rob, and dear Srđan, I would like to thank you because you spent this Saturday with us. It was my huge pleasure to speak with you. And also I would like to thank to Srđan, who helped us with the technical part of the event. So it was my pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to see you all at MEKST conference.
Marina, is it possible to say something?
Yes, of course. Please add whatever you want.
Thank you very much. I just want to say something to a small Serbian village called Prijepolje, and especially to Tiago and Bojana on this day, just to say that we are all thinking of them. Thank you very much for letting me say that.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for having me, for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. Srđan, would you like to add something?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's not my regular topic, but I hope I contributed to your webinar from a different point of view and angle. So I'm looking forward to meeting you in person and hugging you, huggers.
Of course. That will be the first thing that we will do when we see Novi Sad.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you again, and I would like also to thank to all participants who were here today. I hope that we provided you with some new informations and that you find this topic interesting. This was our first webinar of the series of webinars in the field of tourism, hotel and MICE industry. So follow our page MEKST conference on the social media networks and find the information about the next webinar. And also I would like to invite you to send us your suggestions of the topic you would like to be covered. Thank you again and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.